Welcome back, learners. We are into Unit 15, Conflict and Stress Management. Today we are having Session 3. In earlier sessions, we had discussed on types of conflicts, sources of conflict in an organization, and the types of stress and sources of stress which take place in an organization. We have discussed about why conflicts take place in an organization and thereby leading to stress among the employees or the individuals who are working in the organization. The next concept which we have to understand today is burnout. When stress is inevitable and you are not able to cope with stress, then the last stage is called as burnout. Why does burnout take place? What are the reasons of burnout? Let us try and understand this concept in today's session. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionaries, burnout was a concern in the field of professional athletics and the performing arts in the 1930s. So those who were in athletics and performing arts, they are able to result in burnout, in the sense that an athlete loses his energy and thereby not able to go ahead in his profession due to the weakness in his strength or her strength. Similarly, a person who is performing an art, for example, in the form of dance, when the person is not able to perform that as a result of energy, the strength, muscle movements, it results in burnout, thereby not able to perform further in that particular art. Similarly, when you take this concept to the organization, what does it happen? So let us try to understand burnout concept in today's organizations. Basically, there is no single definition of burnout that is accepted as a standard. Some approaches to define burnout are: it is a syndrome of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment that can occur among individuals who do people work of some kind. In the sense, when a person is burnt out and not able to perform further in the organization, that might be because the person is emotionally exhausted, not able to continue with his performance, and thereby feeling alienated. He is not able to alienate, means connect himself with the work which he or she is performing. And then also that reduces his personal accomplishment. He or she doesn't want to accomplish anything in the organization due to emotional exhaustion and depersonalization. Similarly, a progressive loss of idealism. You are so idealistic to perform. You were so idealistic to perform a task given by the organization to you, and you want to give your best to perform the task and complete the task within the time, and you devote your energy and your purpose to complete that particular task. When that is lost, when you are not able to connect yourself with the work which you are performing and losing enthusiasm to perform that particular task for which you wanted to give your energy, all your intellectual capacity to do that, then when you lose that, then it results in burnout. So it is a stage of physical, emotional and mental exhaustion. Burnout is as a stage of physical, emotional and mental exhaustion on which you are not able to go further. There is a physical depletion, chronic fatigue, feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, and a tendency of negative self-concept and negative attitude towards work, life and other people. So burnout takes place when the person is physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted, mentally exhausted, thereby not able to continue to perform in the organization. So as a result of burnout, the person is feeling helplessness, hopelessness and negative concept about his own self, towards work, towards life, and also towards other people. Burnout is also a syndrome of inappropriate attitude towards clients and self, often associated with uncomfortable physical and emotional symptoms. So, it is a state of exhaustion and fatigue that markedly decreases the worker's effectiveness and capability. So, the organization has to take a note of the concept of burnout. So, the organization has to take care that employees don't reach that stage. They should be able to provide the climate, the environment, the resources so that the employee is able to perform better, is motivated to come to office every day and think further, grow for the further growth of the organization. So, the individual also has to take care that the person does not reach to this stage, and the organization also has to take care that employees don't reach this particular stage of burnout. So, there are different stages in burnout when ultimately it reaches the stage of hitting the wall. The stages of burnout are honeymoon stage, fuel shortage stage, chronic symptom stage, crisis stage, and hitting the wall stage. Honeymoon stage, what happens in honeymoon stage? You are new to the organization, you are so enthusiastic about your task, your job which is given to you by the organization and the job given by the organization, and you are so enthusiastic to do something for the organization. So, very happy, even if some resources are not provided, because of your own enthusiasm, you are able to move forward. The second stage is fuel shortage stages. So, day after day, when you find the resources are not adequate, then you tend to feel or burdensome. So, because of lack of resources. But still you are moving forward in a slow and phased manner, feeling that you will be provided resources, if not now, later. Then the stage of chronic symptom comes, whereby you realize that organization is not in a position and to give you, provide any resources, to exactly tell you what exactly you have to perform, how to perform, and the guidelines are not given to you. Thereby, then what happens to that particular individual? It results in some kind of exhaustion, fatigue, and mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion at this stage. Then the fourth stage is crisis stage. So, when the emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion is to the highest degree, then the crisis takes place. Then in the final stage, the person is unable to perform further because of all the stages of exhaustion in all respects. So, these are the different stages of burnout. So, the individual who burns out is likely to be very enthusiastic when first entering the organization, and one cannot become emotionally exhausted unless there is first an emotional commitment. So, when a person enters the organization, he is committed to the organization, would like to perform something for the organization. So, he is able to move forward. When the initial enthusiasm soon gives way to a stagnation, then the individual realizes that he or she will not be able to solve all the problems of the organization. This leads to frustration on the part of the individual because important problems are not being resolved. Then the frustration eventually leads to some kind of indifference, apathy towards the organization. Eventually, the only way an individual may be able to do something about this, seek outside intervention so that he does not reach the burnout completely, is not burned out completely. So, to reduce this, seeks the help of outside intervention in the form of counseling or leaving the situation that causes the burnout. So there are 9 sources of burnout. Why does burnout takes place? It depends on the level of stress, the type of stress. The level of stress, what is the level of stress? What type of stress you are having and how much you are able to endure the stress which is related towards work. And it also depends on the personality the individual possesses. If the personality is not strong enough and does not have coping mechanisms, then it is one of the sources of burnout. When you are not able to cope further, it depends how long you will be able to sustain the stage of stress. It also depends on the nature of job given to you. If you are at management level and you are given certain tasks without any resources, without any commitments, then and it continues day after day, year after year, then that results in burnout. The burnout also can be related to non-work life. When your family, some conflicts in the family is taking place and you are emotionally exhausted with that and you carry those towards the organization, then you are not able to perform further. The kind of lifestyle you have adopted, you don't have a proper lifestyle, the sleep hours, the lack of sleep, because of lack of sleep, the routine which you are continuing with yourself, because of this also it results in burnout. The kind of role provided by the organization, the coping styles which you have may not be suitable to the stress which you are having, and also it depends on the organizational climate. So these are the different sources by which an individual gets burnout. There is a somewhat similar to this, but you have to understand this particular concept which is called as the rust out stress syndrome. In rust out stress syndrome, what happens when you are capable enough and you are intellectually capable to give your best to the organization and you possess those skills, but the organization does not give you an opportunity to perform that, to use that, then what happens? There is underload. That is, it is indicative of stress underload. It occurs when there is a gap between what the executive is capable of doing and what he or she is required to do. So the concept of role erosion is close to the concept of ROS. Stress underload can arise due to both qualitative and quantitative aspects of work. If you are not given a job which is suitable to your skills, suitable to your qualification, then there is no qualitative output to whatever you do. Similarly, if you have the skills and you are able to perform, but you are given a target which is too much for you, that also results in stress. So this is called as rust out stress syndrome. So far we have understood the types of conflicts, the types of stress, and why does it arise, what are the sources of it. Now let us try and understand how an individual as well as an organization can try to reduce the level of stress, reduce the level of conflict thereby. So let us look at some of the ways by which you can reduce the conflict, because stress is inevitable for anybody when he or she is working in an organization. Some amount of stress does take place when you are working in an organization. You can only reduce the degree of stress so that it does not reach the stage of burnout. So let us look at Donaldson's 4-step model. There are different stages in this. You have escalation at first stage. It starts with disagreement, then confrontation, then escalation, then de-escalation, resolution. So these are the different ways by which you can resolve the conflicts which takes place in an organization. Let us try and understand each of them. When you say disagreement, the disagreement means differences between two parties. So that surface minor ones are resolved. So the minor ones which are in surface, they are resolved immediately when there are disagreements. But when differences are perceived as real and substantive, they are acknowledged. So, disagreement takes place when people have differences of opinion, differences of ideas to carry out certain tasks in an organization. Then the second stage is confrontation. So, members hold beliefs and values incompatible with that of each other. So, debate happens and emotions get aroused. So, it is a stage of catharsis, which you can call it, when people when people sit together, then there are arguments, disagreements, then you shout at each other, but because you hold beliefs that whatever values you are carrying for the welfare of the organization are good enough, and the other party is not agreeable to that. So, the confrontation takes place. Then the third stage is escalation. Here conflict gives birth to further conflicts. People become more aggressive, trust is lost. Initially you have mutual respect with each other, but with the disagreements and shoutings, and when you are not in a stage where you can understand the other party also can be right, that rises the tensions between both the parties, leading to conflicts. Then the fourth stage is de-escalation. Here emotions are cooled down, rationality and understanding re-emerges out of necessity, and group protection norm emerges. So, you sit down, you cool yourself, and then you think that we should try and resolve the issues which have taken place in the organization, and how to resolve that, thereby help the organization to move forward. Then the final stage is resolutions. Members genuinely get persuaded, groups may change its stand, or minority members are sacrificed. So, minor trivial issues may be taken away, and some members may withdraw also. So, then that is how the conflict gets resolved. The other method or by which you can understand to resolve the conflicts is styles of conflict management. So, either being too assertive, if you are too assertive also, that will not take care of managing conflicts, and if you are unassertive also, that will not resolve the conflicts. So, you should try and understand how to resolve the conflicts. So, there are different ways by which you can resolve the conflicts. For example, if you force your opinion on others, which may not be right for the organization, then that will not resolve the conflicts. So, forcing, when one party tries to satisfy his personal needs under all circumstances, the party forces its way and competes for satisfying his concern. So, forces their way so that the organization comes down to agree with that party, which is not beneficial for the organization. Then you have collaborating concept, where parties to the conflict are interested in long-term and continued relationship, and they feel that concerns of both parties should be met to the maximum extent they decide to collaborate. This is one of the best way of resolving conflicts. You sit down together, think for long-term benefits, long-term understanding, long-term relationship. So, when you collaborate, both the parties collaborate for the benefit of each other, thereby it reduces the conflict, and which is beneficial for the organization. This is one of the best ways to resolve conflict. By avoiding what happens when you avoid in sitting down together, resolving the conflicts, you do not want to do that. You tend to have differences of opinion, and you are happy to continue with that stage. Then the conflicts do persist, and thereby leading to lot of tensions among the individuals by avoiding, if you want to avoid. So, this is not the way by which you would like to resolve conflicts. Accommodating, when a person is more interested in maintaining good relationship and puts other parties' interests above his own, then he sacrifices interest to resolve the conflict. This may be suitable for short term, but may not be suitable for all purposes. So, the best way of resolving conflict is by collaborating. Compromising is also one of the ways by which you can resolve conflicts. A situation where parties to the conflict are ready to listen to each other and willing to climb down from their initial expectation and sacrifice something for gaining peace. There are different ways by which you can resolve and prevent conflicts in the organization. You can have a policy framework wherein we can suggest some kind of task force who will help the organization to resolve the conflict. You can use of conflict resolution skills. People who have knowledge, expertise, they can sit in the committee and try to resolve the conflicts. You can also have a third party intervention by which you can mediate, or using the method of arbitration, you can help the organization to resolve conflicts. You can also use the method of negotiation by which you can help the organization to resolve conflicts. You can use the method of distributive bargaining or integrative negotiation by which you can resolve conflicts. Distributive bargaining may not be suitable because it does not help everyone in the organization, because the distribution may not be uniform across the organization. When you have integrative negotiation, which is beneficial for all the employees, that is suitable for resolving conflicts. So, by using some of these techniques, you can reduce the level of stress among the individuals in the organization. What are the individual strategies? Individual strategies could be work-life balance. You should know how much time you have to devote towards the relation to work, and how much you should think of your family. You should not bring your work life to your family and family life towards the work. When you are able to balance both this work as well as life, that will help to manage stress. Similarly, having positive mindset and resilience, you can resolve or reduce the stress level among the individuals. You can use the method of PARMA, that is positive emotion, engaging yourself in positive relationship with meaning and accomplishment. So, learned optimism is one of the 5 dimensions of positive organizational behavior. The others are self-efficacy, emotional intelligence, subjective well-being and hope. With this, you will be able to reduce the level of stress. Then you can use social support in a way like take the help of peer group or the family to maintain or reduce the level of stress. You can also use time management. By using the method of time management, you will be able to reduce lots of stress which is taking place among the individual as well as in the organization. So, the methods of coping, one should be able to help in coping with the stress. So, what kind of skills you require? So, focusing on what person can change and control instead of focusing on what one cannot change. So, you should change the methods of coping yourself with the stress so that the degree or the level of stress reduces. The leisure time activities, you can use different ways, some kind of relaxation, having physical exercise, having the right type of diet, having professional help. You can go to a counselor and take the help and reduce the level of stress you are facing in the organization. And what the organization can do, organization can redesign the job by using several methods and enriching one's job so that the individual is motivated to perform better in the organization, and also using best possible ways to set the goals for the employees of the organization. With these methods, one can reduce the levels of stress in the organization. Thank you.